So I thought I'd sit here on the balcony, great day outside, and talk to you about some of the client stuff, like how to manage clients, some lessons I've learned through the week as I keep working with more clients. And I'm hoping that by sharing these insights with you, you'll be really good at working with people, essentially working. I'm gonna show you how to work with people in this video. Okay, so let's go to lesson number one. First is one thing I noticed as like a, one thing I noticed as like a freelancer, contractor, agency owner is that revisions will kill you, right? So a couple things. So basically what recently happened with a client of mine is that I delivered some HubSpot marketing automations for the client and they wanted a revision, right? So I'm like, okay, sure. I'll revise this because there's some edits that need to be made and maybe a couple things I missed, whatever, get it done, boom. But then the client will be like, great, can you also add this on and then this on? Then I'm like, okay, and I add it on. And then they're like, can you add this on? Then I'm like, okay, I add it on. And this is probably my fault because I didn't set expectations up front with them about like revisions and how many revisions I can do. What's cool is that today I got off a call with the client and I'm like, hey, like we need to, in order to move these projects forward so you can deliver the work to your client, it's important we keep these, I feel like it's important we keep these revisions as minimal as possible so we can, again, deliver the work for the client. And she's like, yeah, I totally agree. And then I offered a solution and I'm like, hey, how about this? I noticed one of the things we do is that whenever I submit a work, you add on more things. And so to make this process more efficient, why not you just give me upfront everything you need for the project to be done, and therefore we only do like one round of revisions rather than like 2 or 3, because what happens is the more revisions, I'm not always on the clock and then I reply late and then I make change but they're not on the clock and then it just gets spread out further throughout the week and we don't deliver things on time. So revisions will kill your business, or at least like will kill like success of you delivering work for clients. So again, managing expectation up front and then offering solutions on how to reduce the number of revisions. Those are the key things I'm learning on that. Okay. Another thing is like when you are a contractor, an agency owner, a freelancer, you're delivering work to the client and you oftentimes need their approval of the work or their feedback of the work you did. And I'm really coming to understand this is that you need to be very clear on how to provide feedback. For example, I was working with another client and they're like, I submitted the work and then they're like, hey, I feel like something's off with this email. Do you feel it too? Can we change it up? And I'm like, what do you mean? It looks completely fine and completely normal. And so I had to tell the client, and this is something I'm implementing now moving forward, is that it's like instructions on how to provide feedback. So instead of saying broad, general things, be very specific with the feedback and provide examples. So instead I was like, client, hey, do you mind being a little more specific about your feedback, and maybe we can use this moving forward, is instead of saying vague general things which end up, me spending more time trying to figure out what you mean by it and everything, and we end up doing more revisions down the line. Instead, one thing that would help us in our workflow and get things done on time is offering very specific feedback. So instead of saying something feels off with this email, maybe include a screenshot of the email and another email and say, hey, do you notice how the font here is different than this font? Can you change it up? Right? Specific feedback. And as an agency owner, client, a freelancer, a contractor like yourself, it's important you communicate how to give feedback. I remember I was subcontracting under another agency. They were a big agency. And it was really cool because they're a big agency and they have their workflows and everything down to the T. And one of the things they really emphasize is how to give feedback. So in this case, they were like, when you give feedback, make sure it's specific and specific. Like that's it. Just be specific with your feedback. It was a really cool learning experience. Again, something I'm implementing moving forward. Next is sometimes when you're delivering work for clients, like they also need to get feedback from their team, right? So there's like 3 different people, and oftentimes when you're a contractor, freelancer, agency owner, you're working with one person, generally the director of marketing, who knows all the context. However, that marketing director needs to send the deliverable to their team so that they also understand what's happening and they can get feedback. However, the problem is that the external team that the marketing director needs feedback from, they don't know all the context behind the project and the deliverables. So, and what happens then is that document, let's say you make, gets sent off to the team, and the team asks for all these feedback and revisions and why are we doing this and all that. And again, because they don't know the context, then it gets sent back to you, and you see all these comments and feedbacks in the Google Doc, and you're like, wait a minute, all this back and forth could have been avoided if I just added more context in the document. Example of this, I have a client I'm working with, and I create an email automation for them. It's a 14-day job search challenge, and basically every day for 14 days, they get the contact who wants the email challenge gets a job search tip sent to them every day for 14 days to help them get a job. And what we're doing is revamping that because it's one of our best performing automations, but we want to make it even better. And so I reworked a lot of the emails based on the email analytics and how each email was performing, and basing off that data, I provided suggestions on how each email should be optimized. And then I sent it over to the client, who then sent it to all these other people, who then was like, wait, why are we making this change? Why are we making this change? What about this? Can we do this instead? And I got the document back, and I'm like, oh, wait. These people don't know I made the changes because of X, Y, Z reasons of the analytics. And because they don't know that, now they're like, hey, why are we doing this? There's all this confusion back and forth. Now I have to clarify everything, and then the project takes longer and longer and longer. And so the moral of this story is, when you're submitting work to the client, understand who the stakeholders are and what context they know. And when you're putting the document or deliverable together, provide all that important context that someone who's not been on the project needs to know before they start reviewing everything. So yeah, so in that Google Doc, then moving forward, I was like, okay, instead of just giving like, hey, this is what we need to change, I'll now include another table in the Google Doc that says something like, these are the analytics, these are why we need to make changes, and here's the proposed changes I recommend. That way someone who has no context reads that, and they're like, oh, that's why. Okay, yeah, makes sense, let's move forward. All right, so another thing I'm learning is that I'm right now, as of the recording of this video, I am working with 3 clients, and 3 clients can get pretty hectic, especially if they're demanding. And so I'm trying to become a lot more intentional with my workflow. So rather than just kind of waking up in the morning and winging it for the day and seeing what's on my list and just getting things done and just, let's say, hopefully I get everything done. Instead of doing that, I'm becoming more intentional, and I'm actually critically analyzing how I work. So one thing I realize I kind of let get to me is Slack. So I'll like work on something. I'm like, okay, great. I need to create this email campaign for July for this promotional thing we have going on. And then I'll be working on it, but then another client will Slack me and be like, hey, Alif, I need this. What's the update with this? The client's messaging. And I'm like, oh, shoot. And then I get like this, like, my heart's just racing, and I'm like, oh my God, what if the client's unhappy? What if, oh my gosh. And so I get off that task, and then I go to fix their problem, but the problem is I spent another hour trying to fix their problem, and then I get sidetracked by this, and then that Slack over here, then don't actually get that campaign done. And all because I thought everything is urgent, and I just replied to every Slack message that just comes to me, and I get pulled in all these different ways. And so what I'm doing moving forward is having dedicated times in my day for Slack. So that could be the morning, afternoon, and at the end of the day, right? 3 blocks for just when I actually read through Slack. And in between those time slots, I'll focus on deep work. Because I've come to realize, and this is very deep, is that because I have 3 clients, I keep thinking in this like time management workflow mode type of thing. One thing I realized about myself is that I need to get out of this like time for work mindset. Like, I know from all the podcasts, all the videos, and the masterminds and the coach programs that I'm part of, don't think about time for money, instead thinking about value for money, so charge based on value, and yeah, I'm doing that. But I realize subconsciously my mind is still thinking in the time for work mindset. Let me explain what I mean. I know it's a little complicated. So I have 3 clients, and in my head I'm like, okay, I'll dedicate 10 hours for this, 20 hours for this, and boom, 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 right? And within that 10-hour block, I will get this done and this task done and this task done and this task done. And overall, I'll get these tasks done by the end of the week, and therefore I'm accomplished, right? But the problem with that is that when I'm working, I'm always thinking, oh, this is taking too long, this is taking too long, this is taking too long. And so I kind of do shallow work. So I'm like, okay, I need to get this in 1 hour. Got it done, boom. Cross off my checklist, done, happy, right? And I just go to the next one. 1 hour, oh my God, got it done within 1 hour. Whew, good, boom, done, cross off my checklist, I'm happy, right? But what the problem with that type of work is that you go shallow in the work rather than deep in the work. So instead of thinking of like a very nuanced, well-researched, in-depth email marketing strategy, I do the minimal to get by because I need to finish this task within an hour. And so I'm like, good enough, boom, put it into like a nice doc and then send it over to the client. Boom, good enough, right? Again, it's shallow work. But what I realize is that clients don't hire you, again, for the amount of time you work on something. That's not really what they hire you for. They're also hiring for like depth and quality of your work. Again, they hire you and they pay you for your prices based on how good you are with the work, not based on how much time you spend on the work. And so I realized that, wait, I need to get out of this, like, get this task done within an hour and submit it and happy. Because again, I go very shallow in the work. You know what, I'm actually gonna move inside because it's really loud out here. So clients pay you based on the quality of the work. And if you're not providing that quality, in-depth, well thought out work, you're not technically delivering on your promise to the client. And so if I need to get out of this, like, get this task done within an hour, submit it, boom. This task done within an hour, submit it, boom. And then get all tasks done, and I'm like, whew, I'm happy, right? Instead, what I'm doing now is, okay, I will focus on this work and I will make sure I prioritize quality over how quickly I finish it, right? And that may take me more than an hour at times. Or sometimes it might take me less than an hour. But regardless, my priority is to get into flow, go into deep work, turn off my Slack so I don't get distracted by different things, go and do not disturb, and just literally focus on the problem I'm solving at hand. And then do that for the next task and the next task. And maybe the whole day will be longer than expected, maybe it'll be shorter than expected, but at the same time, like, I don't sacrifice the quality of your work because that's what clients expect you to, like, do and they hire you for by the end of the day. So yeah, check Slack in the morning, afternoon, at night, and in between, do that deep work, well quality, focused, in-depth type of work that the client actually hired you for, rather than wing it in the morning, start a task, get distracted by Slack, fire over here, boom, 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 whole day's gone, you don't end up doing anything for clients. So a couple more things I'm learning is, so this is not really client work type related, but it is like productivity related. But every day I start off my day by listing out 5 things I'm grateful for, 3 things I accomplished yesterday, and 3 big things I'll accomplish today. And on top of that, I have like a daily affirmation I read every day. As of now, the affirmation says something like, I will travel the world and make a lot of money and all this, and I read that every day when I start my day so that my mind is primed and I know the number 1 goal that's a priority for me. And it's interesting because this has been a total game changer. Like, like when you kind of go through the week and you get so lost in the minute details of client work here, gotta see my parents here, gotta go to the gym here, boom, 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 and you just forget the vision. Like, it's easy to lose your vision when you're so caught in the mundane of the week that you get so sucked into everything that you forget, wait, I need to, the large vision, the bigger picture is going this way, but I forgot that it's going this way. Instead, I got so distracted by the minute, detailed, monotonous things of daily life that I ended up going this way. And so this daily affirmation thing that I do, it's my Notion document. I read it every morning. It helps me to remind me that, hey, this is the number 1 goal. This is the goal. And after doing this, after actually implementing this, it's so interesting to see, I wake up, oh yeah, that's the goal. Okay, I almost forgot. Boom, let me do this now. And then I'll wake up, and then, next day I'll be like, oh yeah, that's the goal. Boom, boom, change this up, change this up, change this up. Okay, now I'm going this way, right? It helps to just remind you of what the bigger picture is, and it's helped me to like stay on track with my goals and vision. And like it's interesting, like what I have right now is, I will make money and I will travel the world. And recently I went to Costa Rica, I landed a new client, and everything seems like it's working. But here's something else that I'm understanding too, is that, I'm traveling and I work and I got a new client, right? But now that I've traveled and worked, I'm a little pooped from traveling. And also, now I have a new client. If I want to make more money, I would technically have to like get a new client or just charge higher prices. But I've come to realize now that like, wait, I actually want to take a break from traveling because I want to focus. And on top of that, instead of trying to get a new client, because I'm good with the number of clients I have right now, I need to increase the quality of work that I provide to the client in my project management process and all my workflows. Like I need to get better at working with clients. So instead, what I'm going to do now is actually change that affirmation I have to say probably something like I'll deliver the best, world's most excellent quality of work for clients, and I'll be growing, and I don't know. I'll change it. Why am I saying this? Because that daily affirmation you read, you can change it. Like that's what it is. In my head, I'm like, oh, I gotta keep this for like 3, 4, 5 years, and just make sure this is like the long-term vision. But as I go on with life, I realize every 3 months, my life changes and my priorities change and everything. And so can your long-term vision, as long as it's in that general direction. So my affirmations will now change to something else. I gotta work on that, but let's see where it goes. But the key takeaway is that doing daily affirmations really keep me on track in terms of my long-term vision. But you can also change that as well. Hey, if you're enjoying this video so far, feel free to check out my free courses down below in the description of this video. Some of the courses include how to break into digital marketing without any experience, education, connections, how to make your first $5,000 as a freelance marketer, or how to become a professional email marketing specialist and learn advanced email marketing skills. Check them out below in the description of this video. Back to the video. So a couple more things. Okay. When a client asks for a change on something, like a revision, or like to troubleshoot something, hey, why is this automation not working? And then you go in to fix it, instead of coming back with them and being like, oh, I fixed it, here you go, and send them a link to the automation. Instead, what I realize clients love is saying something like, hey, I looked into the issue. This is why it's not working. Here's another reason why it's not working. Here's the change I made. Moving forward, let's keep in mind, blah, blah, blah. And then send it over. So they have full context of what the problem was, what we're doing to change things, and they feel debriefed. Instead of just saying, all right, it's fixed. Good luck. Bye. Peace. It's like these little things that make them go, ah, they're the expert. Yes, I feel like I totally understand. I appreciate them. It's a small thing, but I've come to realize it makes them feel good. And when you're working with clients, you want them to feel good. So then they keep hiring you for more projects, right? And then you get seen as an expert and they refer you to more people and all these. And, I was watching this Alex Hormozi video, and he says like, if you want to grow your business, instead of focusing on getting more clients and marketing sales, why don't you just become great with your product or service, right? So instead of just making a book and just spending all your time marketing and selling it, what if the book's actually decent, but it's not really good, so people don't actually want to read it, right? So wouldn't it be better if you just spend more time making the book amazing instead of trying to spend all the time selling something that's decent? I mean, if the book becomes amazing, it'll naturally sell itself more, right? You barely have to spend time on marketing and sales. Same goes for services. So when we're working with clients, if we aim to improve ourselves by 1%, every day, by the end of the month, we're improved by 30%. Us as a product, in this case sales, but assuming you think of ourselves as products, us as a product will be so much better. And because it's so good, we'll naturally land more clients, more people, more referrals and everything, and we'll make more money. But it starts with making us, the product, exceptional. And I believe like just improving with the goal of improving every day by 1% in your client process, whether it's learning new skills, optimizing your project management, becoming better at communicating with clients, whatever it is, if you improve by 1% every day, every day, every day, you as a product will be so much better, and therefore people will start people will love working with you, and therefore they'll refer you to more people, and then you make more money. All right, the last thing I want to share with you is this. Don't share your mess with the client. You need to keep an exterior of I got this shit and everything's fine. So context. I'm working with an agency owner, right? A small startup agency. And they hired me to do some of their marketing operations for their client. And so myself and the agency owner were on a call with the client, right? And it's three of us. And the agency owner who hired me, she was like saying things like, oh my God, I have so many calendars and everything's all over the place and I'm trying to figure things out. And I'm listening to her say this in front of the client that hired her. And I'm like, why do you need to tell them this? Like, you really don't need to, because now he thinks like, oh, everything's a mess. Behind the scenes, it's all chaotic and messy, right? And it made me realize in that moment, like, you need to keep an exterior of, I got this shit, even though on the back end, it may be crazy, it may be a crazy mess, right? Like, keeping the exterior is really important. I forget what a book I read, Laws of Power, that book, or something, and one of the rules was like, let's say you want to rule a kingdom, and I forget where I read this from, but it was really interesting. Let's say you want to overthrow a kingdom and rule it. In the process of ruling the kingdom, to the people you must look poised, and everything higher up in the bureaucracy has to look on point, and the king has to look good, and the whole team has to look good to the people, the millions of people that you're ruling. But in the back end, let's say with your team, with your kingdom, with your soldiers and ambassadors and all these, it can be a chaotic mess. But as long as on the exterior it looks solid, then that's like a rule on how to rule a kingdom. And obviously you got to work on the mess to make sure it doesn't leak through. But it was a very important lesson I learned. Like, make sure the exterior looks solid, even though the interior might look like a chaotic mess. And in this call, like by my client saying things like, I have multiple calendars and I'm trying to figure this out, it's overwhelming, right? And she was looking for empathy, but like, I don't think clients really care about you. They care about the work that you're trying to do for them. And so it kind of exposed the interior, right? It broke this rule. All right, so there you have it. Some of the lessons I learned from this week when it comes to working with clients. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to subscribe if you want more content like this around business, marketing, life, freelancing, all that stuff. And be sure to check out my free courses down below in the description of this video if you want to learn how to break into digital marketing or make your first $5,000 as a freelancer, or hell, you want to be a really good email marketer. Check them out down below in the description of this video. With that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Peace, peace, peace.